What's up, guys? Welcome back to Evidence-Based Weight Loss, part 18 of 20. We're just going to talk about intermittent fasting and fasting today. Then we got to talk about stress and sleep and walling off your calories next week. And then the week after that, we're just re-summarizing the entire series. I'm outside once again at the park. I always love being outside. We got a lot to cover today, so I'm going to get right into the video. There does seem to be a correlation of weight loss. So there was a man actually in 1973 who lost 276 pounds by fasting for 382 days. And apparently he kept it all off. I know, and I've done fast in the past, like 4 or 5 days. I've been able to lose 6 or 7 pounds in those couple days. So yes, fasting is gonna definitely make you drop the weight. For sure, it's 100% chance it's gonna make you drop the weight. The question is, well, we all know the answer to that. We can't fast forever. When fasting, hunger seems to settle within about 36 hours. So in other words, your body seems to adapt. It seems to know it's going to that starvation mode. People that fast tend to be irritable and distracted, but when people do it for a few days, many report feeling clear, elevated, and alert. This could be because of the endorphins accompanying the fasting. So fasting, yeah, it works. Here's one of the problems though. Researchers followed people that lost 27 pounds in 25 days of fasting. So yeah, they lost nearly a pound a day. One study found that they gained back an average of 29 pounds though. Concluded that starvation is of no value in the long-term treatment of obese patients. Another study found 1 year after fasting, 62 patients were down 16 pounds in 10 days. 40% retained at least 7 pounds of the weight loss. Another study where people fasted 49 days, I would never recommend anybody fast this long, they lost an average of 52 pounds, and 1 or 2 years later, 40% actually still retained some of the weight loss. However, comparing this data to obese patients at a weight loss clinic found that weight loss success after 2 years was only 2%. 3 groups of people fasting. So you had one group, they fasted for 6 days. Another group, they did 3 weeks of 600 calories a day, and then another group did 6 weeks of 1,200 calories a day. So assuming people roughly 2,000 calories a day, all 3 of these groups should be taking in roughly the same amount of calories. But a year later, the fasting group actually had the greatest sustained weight loss. Longest fasting up study, however, showed that after 1 year, 90% still were below their original weight, even a year after the study was done. However, 9 years, follow-up study 9 years later, I think there's only one study that did such a follow-up study, showed that less than 10% of the people actually kept the weight off. They reported the weight loss was worth it though. And obviously a lot of people were able to keep it off for a year. And those who kept it off admitted to making diet changes in their diet after the study. So in other words, fasting helps in the short term, but long term it's not going to help. Could you fast, I don't know, 3 days every month, and will that help you? Yeah, I think it will. I used to do that stuff. I haven't done fasting in a long time actually. Probably 6 to 9 months I haven't done any kind of fasting. But we gotta ask the question, is fasting safe? So vitamin C deficiency you can have after a month of fasting. Beriberi is another issue you can have. If you get thiamine deficiency, which I believe is vitamin B2, that can result in brain damage within just a few days of being deficient, and it can become irreversible according to these 3 studies. And potassium deficiency can cause irregular heartbeats, causing death. My general rule, don't fast for more than 3 days unless you're having supervision. I know I fasted 4 or 5 days. I'm telling you, my experience of fasting, yeah, it does lean you down. I've done a 4 or 5 day water fast, and my abs will show better the next week. It does seem to work in the short term. If you do something, maybe a 2 or 3 day water fast, you probably could use this to maybe get a jump start on your weight loss journey. Just realize this is not a long-term sustainable method. You have to eat again, but it could be, let's say you got a wedding next week, or you're standing up in somebody's wedding, you're a bridesmaid or a groom. Could you fast for 3 days, 7 days before a wedding coming up, and probably slim down 2 or 3 pounds? Yeah, you probably could. Probably could do that if you're just trying to slim down those 2 or 3 pounds in a week. That would be my recommendation. If you were just trying to lose a couple pounds really fast in a week, you could probably fast 2 or 3 days. Again, this is assuming you're generally a healthy person with no underlying conditions, of course. And of course, I am not a doctor, I'm just a personal trainer. But of course, if you're fasting, breaking the fast is also important. If you eat too much too fast, generally not good. You want to refeed slowly. And if you fast for more than 5 days, you're kind of at risk for refeeding problems. Generally, when people break a fast, I think they do things like fruit or watermelon. If they fasted for several days, they want something easy and light to digest. And again, more than 3 days of fasting, go to a professional, seek help. If you're doing it more than 3 days for your own safety. And yeah, fasting seems to help with weight loss. And I know it's definitely helped me with weight loss before, but is not a long-term solution. It is just a short-term fix. But perhaps if you're disciplined enough and you don't mind fasting every month or two, it probably could honestly help you, at the very least, maintain the same amount of weight. All right, let's talk about intermittent fasting. This is something I've been doing for a good 5 or 6 years now, pretty much since before I started this YouTube channel. I'm a huge proponent and a huge favor of intermittent fasting. It works for me. I'm convinced it works for a lot of people. And hold on, we got an airplane above me. After 12 to 36 hours of fasting, our body starts going into our glycogen stores, and it starts relying less on carbs, and it starts relying more on our fat stores to burn up as fuel. I think this is also kind of known as a ketogenic state. So yeah, there's no more carbs to burn, so now your body has to go into fat burning mode because you've been fasting for 12 to 36 hours. People randomized to fast for 36 hours, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Day 3 only had an average of 20% more than when they break their fast. So in other words, people don't seem to actually overcompensate. You know, let's say you go 18 hours without food. It doesn't seem to be, let's say you would have normally eaten 1,200 calories in those 18 hours. It doesn't seem to be that people are overcompensating for that. It seems to be that they're actually eating less when they're actually fasting. 10 out of 10 studies showed that significant reductions in body fat on alternate day fasts. As in, you cut calories by 500 calories one day, and the next day you eat your regular diet. So in other words, you could eat 2,000 calories one day, eat 1,500 calories the next day. 2,000 one day, eat 1,500 calories the next day. This does seem to be sustainable and help people lose weight. On fasting, one group would fast every other day, and then the other group would cut calories by 400 calories every single day. And both groups achieved similar weight loss. However, dropout rates for those who fast every other day was 9% higher than the continuous calorie restriction group, meaning this is actually harder to do overall despite its effectiveness for weight loss. The compliance to it seems to be hard. And then alternate day fasts were not put into tests for people with eating disorders, and that is just obvious reasons that you should not be doing studies on those with eating disorders with fasting. As a matter of fact, if you have an eating disorder and you're watching, completely disregard fasting. Even intermittent fasting, I don't know. You be the judge. I don't want to contribute to anybody's eating disorder or give people bad advice. You decide. Definitely fasting for days, I would not do that if you have an eating disorder. And intermittent fasting, again, is debatable. Now, intermittent fasting, sometimes people are like, oh, you're starving yourself. No, you're just not eating in a certain window for 12 to 16 hours in a day. Well, 12 to 18. Example, you might eat in a window from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's a perfect example of intermittent fasting and what it is. Or you might eat in a window of 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. That would be an 18-hour fast. So you don't eat anything from 6 p.m. to noon the next day. So long-term trials of alternate day fasts show that those who do alternate day fasts seem to have higher cholesterol. If you eat a whole food plant-based diet, I don't think that'll make too much of a difference because you're having little cholesterol in your diet. And then diabetics who fast were twice as likely to suffer from hypoglycemic episodes compared to non-fasted diabetics. And obviously, if you're on meds and you're planning to do any kind of fasting, you should talk to your doctor. So these two groups will get very similar results. If one group cuts 500 calories a day and then another group eats 5 days a week and then fasts for 2, they appear to get about 12 pounds of weight loss over a 6-month period in both groups. And there does not seem to be any elevated cholesterol, unlike the last group that fasted every other day. Only about 1 in 10 Americans actually go 12 hours a day without food. I have been a big proponent of fasting for years, not only to help with weight reduction. I am under the impression and convinced that our body needs a break, it needs a digestion. I mean, if you are eating from 6 in the morning till 10, 11, 12 at night, and you're just eating all day long, your digestion is never getting a break. And they say that fasting is the fountain of youth, because when you fast, your body is actually flushing out dying cells, because the body no longer has anything to digest. So your body gets a chance to cleanse and rejuvenate itself and flush out any dying cells. That is why fasting is thought to be the fountain of youth. This is one of the reasons I am a big proponent of fasting. I'm going to be 35. Everybody still thinks I'm 25. I'm going to keep it that way. I need to go back to fasting again. Have people eat between 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. without any changes to their diet, and they can lose a pound a week. People seem to lose about a pound a week. That's pretty awesome. That's not that hard. Go 11 hours without food, and then of course obviously hopefully you're sleeping 8 to 9 hours during that 11 hours. Okay, probably more like 8 to 7 hours. Maybe 8 to 6 hours you're sleeping, but people not trying to do any kind of calorie restriction either. Another study showed that obese men and women were instructed to eat between 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. They ended up taking in 300 fewer calories every day, and after about 12 weeks, so 3 months, they lost an average of 5 pounds. Thumbs up to that. Eat in an 8-hour window and lose 5 pounds in just 3 months. That's pretty awesome. All right, let's talk about 2 more groups in another study. One group eats 3 meals a day, and the other group eats the same number of calories, but they eat it in the window from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So they are just eating in a 4-hour window here. Just 4 hours. The results. People in this time-restricted feeding window after 8 weeks had about 5 less pounds of body fat, despite the similarity of calories. That's pretty amazing. The most interesting thing here is that it actually falls from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And as mentioned in one of the first few videos about talking about circadian rhythm, you seem to gain most of your weight at nighttime while eating, while in the morning you take in a lot less calories. Your body metabolizes more calories in the morning, and at night it doesn't seem to metabolize them as well or as much. Another study in 2018 had people in a 6-hour window of eating, and they were done by 3 p.m. So 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. They had better results, having less oxidative stress, less insulin resistance, and lower blood pressure in just 5 weeks. That makes sense. This is also due to the circadian rhythm, so they're done eating by 3 p.m. That circadian rhythm, as mentioned several weeks ago, there seems to be more insulin resistance and more blood pressure if you eat later at night versus earlier in the day. All right, so my thoughts and conclusions about fasting. Fasting longer than 3 days, you should have supervision from a professional. Fasting seems to help keep the weight off even after a year, but long term, after 10 years, fasting does not seem to help. Which at that point, it seems to be lifestyle changes. Intermittent fasting is shown to promote weight loss when eating the same number of calories as those who eat all day long. And then I believe anybody who is trying to lose weight should do a form of intermittent fasting and eat a healthy plant-based, whole food plant-based diet, and try to avoid eating after 5 or 6 p.m. at the latest if possible. And this is due to our circadian rhythm. All right, so Americans typically eat 4 to 5 times a day, and Americans also tend to eat every 3 hours. So it's usually been said in the past that you need to eat more meals and you need to eat small meals in a day to lose weight. According to this study in Dr. Rader's book, that seems to actually be a myth. In the real world, the more times people eat, the more they tend to increase their daily caloric intake. And then drinking juice between meals led to accumulation of nearly 3 more pounds of body fat within 2 weeks compared to the same amount of juice taken with meals. My theory is that there was nothing to absorb and that juice was just spiked your insulin. And we mentioned a couple weeks ago, insulin resistance actually leads to more weight gain. And then I don't really want to talk about this. It's going to be like 10 seconds. Just don't drink alcohol. Alcohol promotes weight gain. I feel like this is common knowledge, and that's why we're not going to go into detail about that. Just don't drink. Or at least drink very little bit if you want to lose weight. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching this part 18 of the evidence-based weight loss. Fasting seems to be helping for weight loss. Intermittent fasting also seems to help for weight loss. Fasting should be done short-term and not long-term without supervision. And so, yeah, I recommend at the very least trying intermittent fasting, and it should help you lose weight. Try to see if you can eat in a 6 to 8 hour window every day. It's shown to help promote weight loss. And then here is Sarah and the puppy and Hadassah. Anyway, I got a client coming in another minute or two, and I'm going to train in this park right now. So I will see you guys in the next video. We're going to talk about stress and sleep. and how to wall off your calories. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Wait, I want to show the puppy. Hadassah!
Here's the puppy. Oh, my client's here. Gotta go.